What's up guys, it's Cody here, and today in this video we're going to be talking about the iPhone 10 versus the iPhone 8 versus the iPhone 8 Plus. Now the point of this video is to help you guys make a decision on what device you want to purchase. So I'm going to be going through all of the changes and all of the differences between all of these devices. That way you can make a more informed decision. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, let's start with color. So if you're dead set on getting a gold iPhone, then you can't get the iPhone 10 because it only comes in silver and space gray. So the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus come in that gold color as well. And the gold color looks awesome to me. They actually change it up a bit because they have a glass back on the back of the device now. So the back of the device is a whole lot lighter of a gold color than what you would normally see on the iPhone 7 or the iPhone 7 Plus. So if you go with the iPhone 10, then you're gonna have to either get silver or space gray. Now they both still look really great, but I just really wish we would have seen a gold iPhone 10 because I would have been all over that. Especially the way that the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus look. They look great in that gold color because with that glass back for the wireless charging that all of these devices have, they all have wireless charging, but that glass back with that gold accent colors all the way around the device, I just think it looks really good. So if color is a top priority and you want a gold one, you're gonna have to go with the 8 or the 8 Plus. So now let's talk about display. First of all, with the iPhone 8, we have a 4.7 inch display. With the iPhone 8 Plus, we have a 5.5 inch display. So nothing's changed there from the iPhone 7 to the iPhone 8. But with the iPhone 10, we actually have a bigger display at 5.8 inches. And it's actually in a smaller form factor than in the iPhone 7 Plus or the iPhone 8 Plus. The other main difference is the 5.8 display on the iPhone 10 is a Super Retina HD display versus the Retina HD display which we have on the 7 Plus, the 8, and the 8 Plus. So nothing's changed there either. Camera specs still have not changed from the 7 to the 8 to the 10 in terms of hardware. So they're all 12 megapixel, and the iPhone 8 Plus as well as the iPhone 10 both have that dual lens, so you get that wide angle in the telephoto cameras, while the iPhone 8 still only has the standard lens. Face ID is a massive selling point for the iPhone 8. Not only is it more secure, but it's also going to be more convenient. So the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus has the exact same Touch ID that you see in the 7 and 7 Plus from a previous generation. Of course, there's nothing wrong with Touch ID. I love Touch ID, and I'm actually kind of sad that it's gone completely. But with the iPhone 10, you now have Face ID. So if you look at your device, it's going to unlock. And all you have to do is swipe up to go directly to your home screen. So if you haven't heard much about Face ID, you can still use Apple Pay using Face ID. All you have to do is just double tap on that side button on the side of the device and then hold it over, and then as long as your face is right in front of it, which it should be, then it's going to allow that Apple Pay to go through. So what about the speed of these devices? Well, they all have the exact same CPU, the brand new A11 Bionic chip. So that's across the board for the iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10. They all have the exact same CPU. So are we going to see better performance out of one of those devices over the other? It's very possible. And if we do, it's probably not going to be terribly noticeable. So what's another thing all the way across the board that all these devices have? That's wireless charging. So like I said, all of these devices have a glass back for that Qi wireless charging. So what about storage for all of these devices? Well, all the way across the board, they're exactly the same. So for all three of these devices, the base model is 64 gigs. You can step that up to 256 gigs if you want to, but again, you're not going to get the 512 gigs that we thought we were going to see with the iPhone 10. So we talked about screen size, but now let's talk about the actual quality of the display. So like I said, the iPhone 10 has a Super Retina HD display versus the Retina display on the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. The display is exactly the same on the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, just like it was on the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. So this is still the LCD multi-touch display with IPS technology. Now on the iPhone 10, you're gonna step that up because now we have an OLED screen on the iPhone 10. Again, this is a 5.8 inch display on a smaller form factor. So while you have the smaller device, you actually get a bigger screen than the iPhone 8 Plus. Not to mention on the iPhone 10, you have HDR display. so that high dynamic range. So that's just going to make the entire screen and all of the content on that screen just look so much better. And the resolution on the iPhone X is 2436 by 1125 at 458 pixels per inch. So that pixel density is a whole lot more dense, meaning a whole lot better quality than on the iPhone 8 Plus, which is at 401 pixels per inch, and on the iPhone 8, which is at 326 pixels per inch. So now let's talk about contrast ratio. So on the iPhone 8, we're talking about 1400 to 1. On the iPhone 8 Plus, 1300 to 1. So it goes down a bit. On the iPhone X, 1 million to 1. So that's a big jump. That's a pretty big jump if you ask me. And all three of these devices have True Tone display. So if you're not familiar with that, on the iPad Pro we had True Tone display, and what it does is there's these ambient light sensors that senses all the light around you, and then it matches that light temperature to your display on your device. So really the whole reason for that is to reduce eye strain. But again, all these devices have that, so it's not really something that's going to make one device stand out. And of course, the other big change on the iPhone X is that it doesn't have a home button. So you're going to be using all gestures, or you're going to use that side button on the side of the device in order to activate some things like Siri or Apple Pay. And if you're trying to go home to the home screen, then you're just going to swipe up from the bottom. If you need to get into the app switcher, then you'll swipe up and hold, and that's going to bring you to the app switcher. So all of those features of the home button are still in the iPhone X. You just don't have a physical home button. So for the size, weight, and dimensions of these devices, the iPhone X is going to be closer to the iPhone 8 than it is the iPhone 8 Plus. Even though the iPhone X has a bigger screen than the iPhone 8 Plus, the actual size of the device is closer related to the iPhone 8. So you can see right here that the height of the iPhone X is 5.65 inches, when the iPhone 8 is at 5.45 inches. The width of the iPhone X at 2.79 inches, and the width of the iPhone 8 at 2.65 inches. The depth is pretty much the same all the way across the board, and the weight of the iPhone X is going to fall in between the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 8. So for me, the iPhone X really steps ahead in this section just because the iPhone 7 Plus, which is what I use right now, I just feel like it's too big. If it didn't have a forehead and a chin on it, then it would be a whole lot easier to reach all the spaces that I want to. But I think that the iPhone X is going to help make using your device one-handed a whole lot easier, which is something that I'm definitely looking forward to. So portrait mode is only going to be available on the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone X. So the iPhone 8 does not have portrait mode because it doesn't have those dual lenses. But one of the new features that they just announced at the Apple event is portrait lighting. So this brand new feature is only going to be on the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone X. So what portrait lighting is going to allow you to do is change the lighting in your portrait pictures. And there's a few options that you can take advantage of while you're scrolling through this portrait lighting mode. But like I said in my last video, this is not just an overlay or a filter that you're putting on your device. It's actually doing some computation in order to make the picture fit the effect. They all can record 4K at 60 frames per second. They can all record 1080p at 240 frames per second, and they all have optical image stabilization. Now, if we switch over to the front camera, that's when the iPhone X starts to take a little bit more of a lead. So on the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus, you just have a regular FaceTime camera at 7 megapixels. Now on the iPhone X, you have a true depth camera. Now this is still a 7 megapixel camera, but the three things that the iPhone X has that the iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus do not have is 1, portrait mode, 2 is the portrait lighting effect, and 3 is Animojis. So if you haven't heard of Animojis just yet, these are 3D emojis that you can emote yourself. So if I was going to send an Animoji, I would just hold my phone up like this, I would tap the Animojis that I wanted to use, and then I would talk, and it would basically move its mouth with me. It would smile when I smiled, it would frown when I frowned, and then you can send the emoji that's animated to another person using iMessage. So it's not only just, I smile and the emoji smiles, or I frown and the emoji frowns, but I can record an entire voice message, and then I can send that audio with the Animoji to somebody. So that seems pretty cool. So of course, if you're looking for top of the line, you're gonna go for the iPhone X. But the thing that makes the iPhone X stand apart is the size. So it's a smaller form factor with a bigger screen than the iPhone 8 Plus. It has an OLED display. It has Face ID. It has the capability of doing the Animojis from the front-facing camera, not to mention the portrait mode with the portrait lighting with the front-facing camera as well, and the Super Retina HDR display that has a higher resolution and a much more pixel-dense display than the other two devices. And that's really it. But the most important thing, how much do they cost? The iPhone X costs $999 for the base model at 64 gigs. The iPhone 8 Plus starts at $799, so $200 cheaper, and the iPhone 8 starts at $699. So $699 to $799 to $999. If you bump up to 256 gigs on any of those devices, it's an additional $150. So we're talking about a price difference of $300 between the iPhone X and the iPhone 8. But the $300 difference between the iPhone X and the iPhone 8, that's a lot of money. So hopefully this comparison and this breakdown will help you make a decision. So let me know in the comments below which device you plan on picking up. Is it the iPhone X? Is it the iPhone 8 Plus? The iPhone 8? Or are you getting an older device because all of last generation and every other device that Apple sells is going to drop in price? So let me know what you guys plan on doing in the comments. I'd like to check it out and see what you guys are thinking. All right, guys, that's all I got for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure you hit that like button. Of course, if you guys want to stay up to date with everything Apple, the iPhone X, the 8 Plus, the 8, any other tech that I want to cover, or if you ever just want to see my face again, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.